Hi, my name is Rachel Foster. I'm an accredited claims agent with Chisholm and Kilpatrick. Today, we're going to be talking about how to file a VA disability claim, specifically the VA Form 21-526EZ, which is the application for disability compensation and related compensation and benefits. So let's go ahead and get started. So we can begin with VA's website and their guidelines for applying for VA benefits. Please know that on our CCK blog, where you can find at cck-law.com, we also provide an overview and a step-by-step guide on how to file a 526EZ, so please be sure to check that out. Going back to what VA has on their website, they start with giving you information about how and where to file the form. So their recommendation is that the best way to file for disability compensation is to apply online at www.va.gov/disability. This will involve setting up your own account where you can access your VA benefits information, and you have the ability to file claims and intent to files, for example. You can do that online. One thing to note is that this account at VA.gov is sensitive information. You should have a password that goes along with it to keep it secure. And you do not want to share this information with a third party. So if you have been in a situation or are in a situation where you've shared your password with a third party, we highly recommend that you go ahead and change your password to keep that information secure. This really should be an account that only you access. So you can file your 526EZ at va.gov. You can also do it electronically if you want to complete the PDF and upload it directly to VA systems via direct upload, or you can complete the paper application, download it, complete it, print it out, and mail it to the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, their claims intake center, or you can also fax it, depending whether you're inside or outside of the United States. So today we're going to be talking about how to complete the PDF form, but a third option for completing it, if you would like assistance with completing your 526EZ, is you can find assistance through an accredited representative. They are someone, whether it's an accredited attorney, an accredited veteran service organization, or an accredited claims agent. This is a person who is legally authorized by the Department of Veterans Affairs. They're recognized by the Office of General Counsel to represent veterans in their claims process. So you want to make sure, really emphasizing the need for accreditation. You want to make sure that the person that you're working with, if you are getting assistance with filing your claim, is accredited before the VA. So I want to show you how to find that out. So VA has a webpage dedicated to give you information on how to get help from an accredited representative. It gives you information on working with someone as part of a veteran service organization or a private attorney or private claims agent. The important thing to note is just to verify that the person that you're working with is accredited. So VA has a link right on their website that will take you to the Office of General Counsel website, and this will allow you to confirm the accreditation of status of someone, or to browse if you just want a general list of accredited attorneys, agents, or VSO representatives in your area. So here, the first section for an attorney, a claims agent, or a VSO representative, you can search their specific last name, first name, their state, their postal code, whatever information that you have. And when you hit search, that should populate with that person's name. They should be able to be found in VA system. If they're not in VA system, that's going to be an indication that they're not accredited by the Department of Veterans Affairs, and that is not a person who is authorized to assist you in your VA claim. So going back to the application, we've gone through where you can send your application, how you can either upload virtually, submit electronically, or mail or fax your form. let's look at the form itself. So the 526EZ, application for disability compensation and related compensation benefits. So before you even get to the heart of the application where you start filling things out, VA is giving you a lot of information. So this is really good. It's sort of a crash course of VA benefits. VA is giving you information on, things we just talked about, how to submit a claim, where to file your claim, the different types of claims. So the difference between a fully developed claim program or the standard claim process, any special circumstances that might apply to you, specifically regarding treatment. If you want to apply for additional dependency benefits, what supplemental forms you might need to fill out as well. Again, information on where to mail your form, or if you're doing it electronically, either VA.gov or direct upload, the links for that. They also have a lot of information about the types of disability benefits that are available and generally what kind of evidence is required for them. So again, this is a crash course. It's really good to be familiar with all of these benefits, especially if this is your first time filing a claim or if you're just generally unfamiliar with the process. This is for your information. It is for you to review. You can, again, also seek assistance from an accredited representative who can help you identify the specific disability benefits that are relevant for you and help assist you with the process of completing this form. So moving along, one thing I want to note before we start talking about completing the form is the different types of VA claims that VA requires. So the 21-526EZ is required in circumstances where you maybe have never filed a claim before, or you've never filed this specific claim before, or you're filing a claim for an increased rating and you weren't previously denied within the last year. So in other words, if it's an initial claim, you're going to want to use the 526EZ. If it is a claim that for this specific disability, you have been previously denied and you're not in the process of appealing it, or supplemental claim, the VA form 20-0995 is a supplemental claim form that you would use for a disability that was previously denied. If you want to, if you're within 1 year and you want to appeal that disability, that is a different option. So if you have a claim that was previously denied and you try to use the 526EZ form, VA will likely reject that unless it's an increased rating. So again, with the modernized system in the AMA appeals process, this can be something that can be somewhat complicated depending on your familiarity with the procedural process for VA claims. So this might be another point where it's helpful to get assistance from an accredited representative. So going through the form, once you've confirmed that this is the correct form for the specific claim that you're filing, you're going to want to indicate to VA just generally what type of claim it is. This helps with their intake. So a fully developed claim means that you're providing VA with all the information consistent with the type of benefit that you are seeking. So VA should be essentially ready to make a decision on the claim based on the evidence that you've provided. This is generally thought of as a more expedited version of a claim. If there's additional information that you want VA to go out and get, or you plan on submitting additional evidence, you will want to indicate that you're going through the standard claims process. That's not to say if you originally decide you want to do the FDC program and you have additional evidence later, you can still go ahead and submit that. It will just knock you into the standard claims process, which VA will just essentially up until VA makes a decision on your case. If you are about to be discharged, so you're active military, and you're going through a discharge process, the IDES and the BDD programs, those will apply to you, and you will likely know to check off those sections if that is your status. Otherwise, more common, you're likely going to be going through the FDC or the standard claims process. So section 1, that is going to be the veteran's identification information. So you want to include first, middle, last name, your social security number, whether or not you've ever filed a claim with the VA. So if yes, you should already have a VA file number, and you can find that on any previous correspondence you've gotten from the VA or any decisions that you've gotten from the VA. They will have assigned you a VA file number. If not, if this is your first time ever filing a claim, you can go ahead and leave Section 5 blank because you haven't had a chance to be assigned a VA file number yet. You want to include your date of birth, your service number, if you have one and it's applicable. This is only for BDD claims, the date of your anticipated release from active duty, your phone number, your current mailing address, your email address, if you have one, and if you want to receive correspondence from the VA via email, that is optional. You do not have to provide that. VA does want to know, however, if you are a VA employee. So if so, you want to go ahead and check this box. Section 2 is if this applies to you, a change of address. So it's incredibly important for VA to have your most up-to-date contact information at all times. Once you file a claim, you're going to receive correspondence from the VA, whether it's an acknowledgement letter that they received your claim and that they're processing it, whether it's information that they need from you. They might send you a request for information or say, we need these specific forms filled out from you to continue with your case, or just the decision. And with decisions comes really sensitive deadlines. So you want to make sure that that mail is going to the right place. So if you're in a situation where you're going to have temporary housing or you expect your address that you listed above to change sometime in the future, you're going to want to provide that information to VA, indicate whether that change of address is going to be temporary, permanent, what that address is, and the beginning and end date of that information, of that address, especially if it's going to be temporary. So next, VA is going to want to know if you are in a state of homelessness. If so, that's something that they want to be aware of. It may affect how they're able to contact you. So if yes, you do want to check yes. If no, you can check no and skip Section 14B. But if you are currently homeless, you want to give VA a little bit of information about what your specific circumstances are, where you're staying, just so they have that information. Or if you're not homeless currently, but you're at risk of becoming homeless, you want to indicate whether that's a yes. And if so, check the box for what your housing situation will be in the future and why you're at risk for homelessness. If no, you can skip Section 14D. If you are at risk of homelessness or are currently homeless, you can provide a point of contact. So this is going to be a third party, someone that you trust, someone that VA can try to call in order to reach you if they're not otherwise able to get in touch with you with the methods that you've provided earlier in the section. So who that point of contact is and what their telephone number is. So Section 4 is related to exposure information. So VA recently updated this form to correspond to the new benefits that are available in the PACT Act. So if you're not sure if the PACT Act affects you, you can always, again, seek assistance from an accredited representative to get more information on how those benefits may affect your case. But VA has now outlined different sections of exposure, and you just essentially want to go down the list, check off what does apply to you, and check no for what does not. So if you're claiming conditions related to toxic exposure, you want to indicate yes, and then complete the corresponding section. If not, you can go ahead and skip this entire exposure section and move on to claim information. If you served in any of the following Gulf War hazard locations, you want to indicate yes if you did, no if you didn't. If you did, when you served in that corresponding location. If you were exposed to herbicides, or commonly referred to as Agent Orange, in any of these locations, you want to indicate yes. And if you were exposed to Agent Orange in a location not listed in this section, then you want to go ahead and just give VA that information so they can later verify it. And when did you serve in these locations? This is the section where you want to provide that information. And not related to Persian Gulf, not related to Agent Orange. These are other methods of exposure. So, for example, asbestos, mustard gas, radiation. If any of these other types of exposures are related to your disability that you're claiming, you're going to want to indicate that. There is a section for other. So, if nothing specifically falls under any of these criteria, you can also specify what your individual circumstance is. But again, you want to include when you were exposed, your date of exposure. If more than one type of exposure applies to you and you need more space to outline that information, VA has provided an additional box in 15E where you can include that. So section 5 is where we get into the claims that you want to file, the specific disabilities. So VA has outlined it in 4 different columns. So they want to know what the current disability is, what it is due to, so the nature of the in-service event. So if it was due to exposure, a direct injury in service, they just want to have an indication of how this is related to your military service. And then a little bit more information here, whether it's due to, again, Agent Orange exposure. It might be a good idea to list the location of where that happened, or just a little bit more of a description, more of an expanse on what you would have listed here. And then the approximate date or onset that your disability began. If you're seeking an increased rating and you can pinpoint a time frame for when that disability worsened, you can indicate that here as well. So if your disability is still beyond the 15 that are allotted here, there is an addendum page at the end of the PDF that will allow you to attach more as needed. And at any point in time, if this form is not giving you enough space to include the information that you feel is important for VA to know, you can attach a VA form 21-4138, or honestly just a sheet of paper that gives that additional information, and attach it to this form as well. So moving on to the treatment section, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So for treatment, if you treat through the Veterans Health Administration, you can go ahead and put that information here if it's related to your claimed disabilities. This will tell VA where you treat and where they can get that information, keeping in mind that especially for service connection cases, having that confirmed diagnosis or having a current disability is key as part of the claims process, and VA is going to want to verify that you have a currently diagnosed or qualifying disability. So usually treatment is the way that they do that. So if you do treat through a Veterans Health Administration, you want to make sure you include that information here, the date of treatment. If you don't have date of treatment, that's fine. You can just tell VA, I don't have a date, and they can still pull those records and get the information that they need. If you treat privately or even through a vet center, you will need to submit a authorization for VA to obtain those medical records and for that private facility to release them to the VA on your behalf. So that is going to be the VA form 21-4142. So moving on to service information. So this is information you can get from your DD-214 or your service records. VA just wants to know the details of your service. So first they want to know, did you serve under another name? If yes, what is that name? If no, you can go ahead and skip to 19A, which is your branch of service. The component, your most recent active service dates, your place of last or anticipated separation, whether or not you served in a combat zone, and any additional periods of service. If you served in the reserves or National Guard, they want to know about that as well. So you want to answer in accordance with your individual case. whether you were in the Guard, the Reserves, your start and end date, if you're currently assigned or you're last assigned, name and address of unit, their phone number, and whether or not you're receiving inactive duty training pay. VA also wants to know whether you're currently activated on federal orders within the National Guard or Reserve, so check what applies to you. If no, you can go ahead and skip that box. And lastly, they want to know, have you ever been a prisoner of war? If yes, they want to know your dates of confinement. If no, you can skip the rest of this section. And then moving on to section 7, in some cases, veterans might receive lump sums or retirement pay, separation pay, disability severance pay upon their discharge. So if that is your situation, you want to indicate that to VA, whether you're receiving military retired pay, what the branch of service was, your retired status, whether you're a longevity retired, permanent disability retired list, or temporary disability retired list. VA also has a couple of sections here where they ask whether or not you want to waive your VA compensation. If you're not sure, this is also a point where you can seek assistance from an accredited representative if you're not sure what the implications of waiving VA compensation is. And then moving on to separation or severance pay, whether you've received that benefit, it's often listed on your DD 214. If you have, the date your payment was received, the branch of service, and the amount that you received. If you are receiving pay for inactive duty training, again, VA wants to know, do you want to waive VA compensation? And then the last section is direct deposit information. So if you prevail and you're successful in your disability claim, VA is going to want to send your monetary benefits to your account. So if you already have filed a few claims and you're already receiving VA compensation and your account information is already on file, you can let VA know. You can make a note that says established or on file or something to that effect. If not, then you certainly want to make sure that you complete this section. If VA is going to be paying you benefits, you want to make sure that you're getting them. So you want to be very careful but accurate with filling in your account information, indicating whether it's a checking or savings, the name of the financial institution, and the routing or transit number. So this is all information that you want to make sure is incredibly accurate so that you can receive your compensation. So the last piece, of course, is signature and date. If you are filling this out yourself, you can sign and date here. If this is not an original claim and you're maybe filing for the second or third time for new disabilities, a accredited representative can sign this form on your behalf, and this is where they would sign. But that is the last step. So again, depending on whether you're going to go ahead and print this, mail, or fax, or whether you can even save the PDF and then upload it to VA's direct upload systems, this is generally how you complete the 526 EZ. I hope you found that video helpful as you're filing your claims. And please feel free to check out our blogs, also our YouTube channel. We have a lot of guidance, not only on how to file a claim, but some really good practices and information in general on the different types of claims that are available. So thank you again for your time. I hope this was helpful, and I hope you have a great rest of the day.